Hi, hello everyone. I get a lot of compliments on how smooth my makeup is, so I'm going to show you the exact products and the exact steps that I use to get this very smooth, skin-like base makeup. I hope you enjoy this video. Let's start with skincare. Okay, for my skincare, I like to use very light layers and very lightweight products. So I really like this One Thing Centella Asiatica toner. I like it so much that I got the big size, and I apply this first. Next, I like to apply a very lightweight eye cream. And then I wait about 5 minutes to let it absorb, and I move on to sunscreen. After my skincare products have set, then I move on to sunscreen. Around my eyes, I like to use a mineral sunscreen stick. And for the rest of me, I like to use this Sun 50 chemical sunscreen. This sunscreen is the best sunscreen I have ever used. I don't have any problems with it being overly greasy or stinging my skin or causing breakouts, and it has no skin actives. I don't understand why everything is full of actives. All it is irritating to your skin. This one doesn't have any. This also doubles as a lightweight facial moisturizer for under makeup. All sunscreens or moisturizers, you don't really need an extra product to moisturize your skin when you're using a sunscreen, because all sunscreen chemicals are in, or minerals are in, a moisturizing base. So make sure you get your ears. I always have a tendency to forget mine or not get the whole ear. I like to make sure it's smooth around this part of my face and the nose, because it can add texture in those places, so just really smooth that out. Around the ear. And then, once that's on, wait 15 minutes before you do your makeup. So if you don't have the time, you can stop here. And when you come back in 15 minutes, eat your breakfast, just do concealer. So once I wait 15 minutes, that's when I move on to my base makeup steps. Okay, after I have done all my skincare and let it set, the trick is light layers with my foundation and my concealer and everything I put on my skin next. Light layers. There is a technique that I use, and the first part is to set. Okay, next I move on to foundation, and I like to use this Color Stay foundation, and I like to mix it with a skincare serum, and I use 2 pumps of foundation and 1 pump of the Mix-In Bean Essence, and I mix those together. I like this because this makes this foundation spreadable, so in really thin layer that you can then smooth out with a makeup puff. So mix them together, it should look like this. All right, now to get a very, very thin layer, I like to use a Blade foundation brush, one of these skinny ones, and I load the brush up on both sides, and then I paint it on. Go with the direction of your skin, so this way, always. So start the center and go like that. Start to center, go like this. The heaviest amount should be on your cheeks, and the thinnest amount should be in the center of your face and around the hairline. I know that sounds odd. Let me show you how to do it. So start here, go back, and really smooth it out. You can turn your brush so you get a very, very thin layer like that. And then you use a cushion puff like this one and pat, and just pat. Until it's blended. And I'm going to go ahead and do my whole face like this with this technique. And that is the first light layer. Assess from here and decide if you want to do more, and then we'll move on to concealer. Okay, so my full base is done. Now it's time to move on to concealer. And for concealer, I mix two products. I like the lifter concealers from Maybelline, but they really don't have a color for me. So I like to mix 60 and 65 together. I mix it on my hand with my finger. And I get a kind of a pale, kind of yellow color. I like this because this will help color correct as well, and it looks natural. So I just dot it under my eyes, at the corner, where I'm dark. I like to do touch on my eyelid, just everywhere. I need it on the sides of my nose, on the darkness of my chin, just with my finger. I let this set for a second, and then I go in with a mini puff like this, and I start blending. I start with my chin first. Then I like to double check in my magnifying mirror that everything is well blended. And I let it set. Okay, so this next part is about getting my eyes to look really smooth and really perfect. I let this makeup set down for a few minutes so I can blink and move, and that way I can remove any pooling and any wrinkles and crinkly bits around my eyes. And I like to use a tiny, tiny little Q-tip for this, and I close my eye and look up and remove anything that's collected in my crease because I have hooded eyes. Just remove that out. And then I look down and I remove anything is creased around the lower part of my eye. Just remove it. I'm not gonna blend yet. I'm gonna let my eyes set because a lot of times with movement and settling, this will kind of even itself out. And that's what I want it to do on its own before I move on to my next step. So I will be right back. All right, the next step with my eyes is to powder them very, very lightly. I'm going to use the Coty Airspun powder, and I have the shade Naturally Neutral right here. And I'm just going to use an eyeshadow brush and pick up some powder on the brush, like really load it up. Like this, let me show you. Powder, really load up the brush, tap it off, tap it off into the cap, really loaded it up to show you what I was doing. Swirl it in the cap to really get it into the brush, and then I'm going to set my eye. Okay, from here I move on to my color cosmetics. I like to use liquids and creams at this point. I'm going to do that off camera. Use anything that will not leave a texture, so anything thin and lightweight. So I'm going to do that off camera like I said, and I will be right back. Alright, so for my base, I've applied my contour and my blush, and I use a stain, and the stain I use is this one by Little Bits Apothecary. This is my favorite stain, and I use the Juvia's Place contour on my face, and now I am going to set again with my setting spray. And I'm going to let that dry down. And while it's drying, I'm going to load up my puff. So I like to take a puff, tap it like this into the powder, use the cap, rub it into the puff. Still not done with the puff. I rub the puff like this to get the powder even. With powder, I start where I get oily. So here and here. The T-zone right here. I'm gonna work. Really press the powder into my skin this way. And work from the center out. And I set my whole face. My entire face. I set everything. And I do it in light layers. So this is the first light layer of powder I'm going to be using on my face. I'm going to use 2 light layers. You see how the powder softens the cheek stain? And if you want to soften the cheek stain even more, put a little more powder over top. Makes it blurry and melts it into the skin, and it looks really pretty. So I'm going to set again with my setting spray, and then I'll be back to show you my finished look. I'm going to do eye makeup and brows off camera. I will be right back. And this is my finished look with all my makeup done. This is how I do my makeup for a super smooth look that I'm always getting complimented on. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.